What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today we are starting a new project. This is going to be a big build. It's a well-built 1860 brand new 2025 model. I have never seen one of these well-built with these deep gunnels on them. This thing has a 30-inch gunnel on it. Lots of room inside of this boat. Lots of area for us to build. It's going to be different. It's going to be a humongous project. This guy wants to get the full Trick 10s package. He's going to have everything. All the LEDs, compartments, live wells, rod lockers. He's gonna get CNC cut turf. He wants to put a wrap on it, paint, powder, you name it. You're gonna see it in this boat. This is gonna be a pretty lengthy series because I got a lot to do to this rig. I'm gonna turn this camera around. I'm gonna show you guys what we got in here. But real quick, before we get into this video, I want you guys to go check out Shane Flint Outdoors on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. Shane Flint is a guy that owns this boat. He's a YouTuber. He's got a fishing channel. He's a really cool dude. I would appreciate it if you guys would go check him out and subscribe to his channel. I'm sure he'd appreciate it too. This rig will be on his channel when we get done, and he'll be fishing out of this thing indefinitely. He plans on keeping this boat probably forever. So anyways, enough about that. Let's get right into this, guys. All right, here we go. This thing is massive. 1860. I've never seen one with walls like this. I mean, look at how big this thing is. It's kind of crazy. Majority of the well-builts that we've done in the past, well, they only have one of these tracks in the gunnels, and usually this cap is here, but with this one, obviously, it's got another 10 inches on the side. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, there's so much room inside of here. I'm really not exactly sure how to lay this thing out. I've looked at this for a little while with Austin, and we've been brainstorming, and I talked to Shane about it, obviously, when he dropped the boat off, and we had his ideas on it, and we've come up with a game plan of what we think we're going to start with. And since this front deck up here is so damn tall, I mean, look at this thing. I mean, from here to the water, oh my God. You're not going to be reaching down and grabbing any fish unless you're laying down here, because you're going to be 30 inches out of the water. So he's going to have to net all the fish he catches in this boat. It's going to be nearly impossible for him to reach down and mouth them, but we're going to have to keep this height. Now, we talked about maybe dropping this down, but it's just going to be a pain in the butt to try to cut this whole piece out of here and then move it. It's not going to fit if we drop it down. So it's going to have to be smaller. So what we're going to do is leave it at this height. We're going to bring this deck back all the way to this bench right here at that height. But we're not going to bring it in the center to that height. We're going to let it drop down and have like a step in there. Basically, he's going to have rod lockers, port and starboard, and then this will be a step in the center with a live well. Lots of storage up here. Now, I said this electric only rig, and he's got lots of batteries that are going in here. We've got 6 batteries, 4 12-volt and 2 24-volt batteries. We're going to put into a gigantic storage compartment right here. It's going to be about 3 foot square. That's going to be like his electrical hub, and that's going to have majority of the weight that's going in the boat up front, and that's the way that you set up these electric only rigs, is to have most of the weight up front. And this thing is really going to sit up high in the front because it's such a big boat and it has so much space on the bottom. It's really going to probably float in only a couple of inches of water. But that's the plan. So the way we're going to start that is we're going to come off of here with an angle, and we're going to have to cut down the top of these ribs over here. So we're going to weld those, cut those off, start framing back to this bench. Now, the floor in here is going to be a little bit different because we're going to drop it down to the height of these benches to keep this all the way out to the transom. And with these big pieces on here, well, we're going to have to cut these down too below this. We're going to end up taking a lot out of here. And I think the way that we're going to counteract losing this support here is by bringing these side panels over farther and making a bigger catwalk, port and starboard. That's the game plan. We're going to figure that out once we get to it, but we're going to start up here in the front and we'll work our way back from there. Let's get right into it. so we did go ahead and cut down all of these side rails. So you can see these obviously we're gonna stick up and be over the height of where we're gonna have this deck in here. So we shortened these about 3 or 4 inches, but the ones in the back, those were pretty dramatic. We had to take them down about 8 or 9 inches. Obviously you can see where the bare aluminum is showing the stuff we took off. So that's gonna keep our lower deck level that height, and then this front deck, well, obviously we're gonna build that up to the same deck height as this front piece. Went ahead and put our angle up here. Just got this in with a couple of rivets, and then we're gonna come off of that with our 1x3 tubing. We're gonna frame back basically a 36-inch wide gap, and that's gonna allow us to get the framing built done for our big hatches. They're gonna drop in here for tackle storage and for his giant battery box. Put you guys back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work. All right, so not bad for day one. We got the whole front deck framed out. Now you can get an idea for how this is going to look. These hatches right here, these are 50 inches by 11, and in front of that, we're going to have an 11 by or 21 by 11. It's right around 21 by 11. Mirror image, both sides are the same. And then in the center, we have a 36-inch by 30-inch drop-in hatch. That's his big battery storage. That's where all the battery tenders and batteries are going. There's 6 batteries in there. And then right behind that, this is just gonna be basically a tackle storage right here. This is gonna drop down. It's so deep. I don't really know what I want to do with that because it's like 26 inches to the top of that rib. I don't know if we just wanna build him a 26-inch bin that goes in there. I'm thinking that what makes more sense to me is that I frame in the bottom of this, like sheet it, and then we'll have like a drop-in bin that can go in here. Even if it doesn't run the whole length of it, maybe like half of this hatch or something, he can slide it side to side. And that way down in the bottom, he can put stuff that he doesn't want to have access to all the time, but he can have it in the boat. And then in this top, he can have this bin or tray that can be completely removable, and he'll have access to that stuff. And then this bin is still gonna be deep. I mean, I'm talking about making this bin at least 12 or 14 inches to split this difference. So that's what I think would be the best bet for what we've got going on right here. Now, this area up here, this piece that runs right here, this is getting cut out. We just put this together as one piece, and we don't want to take it and cut it now because we still got to weld it all together. See, it's just tacked. Everything's tacked up, and we're going to take this whole piece out, flip it upside down, and weld it solid from both sides. Then we have to work on the floor in here because before we put this in here permanently, well, these are going to be rod lockers right here, and we're going to have to cut this bench top out of here so we can put the live well in there, and we need to have it drop down lower than that because our rod locker is going to run all the way up, actually into that bench a little bit. So he's going to have about an 8-foot rod locker, port and starboard. Well, like I was saying, with this section here, now this area right here is going to be like U-shape. We're going to remove this piece out of the picture, and then the live well is going to be here. So this is going to act basically as a step. Let's get up in here and look at this. So in theory, from this piece and this piece here, this will be gone. So this is going to be your step. You can step up, get to your deck, and this is also going to have the live well hatch in it. I think it'll be cool like that, and that gives them like a transition too, because the back deck height is going to be the same height as the top of this live well, which is gonna be the same height as these ribs in here. So I think that's the best scenario. Now let's have a step up here to get up onto the deck. Then obviously we're gonna have a floor and stuff in here. So a lot of thought going into this. I feel like we crossed a bridge to get this done because, like I said, it's a lot of thinking. This is a big boat, and I don't want to do anything that's going to come up to bite me in the ass later on. But I think what we've got going right here is pretty solid. Now, we just got to figure out how we're going to do all that flooring inside of there, because there's a lot of flooring that's going to go in there. Anyways, that's it for day one. We'll circle back in the morning. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, we made a lot of progress today. Day 2 in the books. We got this back bench pretty much figured out and finished up. We got the floor in there installed. We did pack some foam underneath that. Both our hatches are in here. We're gonna put a seat base in here. We're also gonna put another attachment in here for like a YOLO tech so he can record. He said he does have one in the boat he has now. He uses that a lot, so we're definitely gonna put that in there for him. And then we went ahead and we got the floor in here. Now this is not installed. I just dropped this in here a second ago to make sure it fits. I'm gonna come back and put foam underneath of this too, but the way that this works out, pretty simple. We got the flanges and bends on these ends on either short side, And then we're gonna come straight up from that and then back across here. We'll have a cup holder in here, maybe a little storage compartment. Other side is gonna house probably the switch panel, and it's gonna have a graph up there. And that will be about 9.5 inches of flat up here. So really it creates like a catwalk. So this whole back bench area will be the same height as this bench all the way around. And then where the center is at will be the same height also where the step is to get up onto the deck. Front deck framing is really cool. I think the way we did this is gonna be perfect for what we need. Now we did a little bit things different, obviously, because we had this center bench in here. One thing about this bench is this rib inside of here. We're gonna have to notch it and drop it down because it's sticking up too high for our live well depth. We wanna have this live well pretty deep inside of there. And obviously we're not gonna bring it all the way up because this is gonna be our step down right here. So we're gonna have to do that. We did cut this lid off here and get this foam out of here though. And you can see this is perfectly flush and level right here now. So what we're gonna do with that, we're gonna come back with some legs up here, obviously, but we're gonna have an angle in here after we get the live well in there, and that's gonna be where we can catch our top hatch in here or some sheet. One thing I'm not 100% sure on is how I'm going to do the live well, because we need to have access to the pumps, and they're either gonna be port or starboard, either side of the live well. And we got to be able to get to those pumps to change the cartridges out on them at a later date. So I've got to figure that out. I may just run like hoses off of them instead of just hooking them directly into the tank like I normally do. And that way we could like stash them back here. You see where we got this cutout right here? Well, that's for our rod locker bin to sit in there. We did make those today. Look, they're right here. These are 7'8". He said the biggest rods that he fishes with are 7.5 feet. So there we go, you can see the light is crazy coming from that sun, but they're basically just big troughs. And I think doing it this way is gonna help us out because we'll be able to keep that same frame or that drop-in box all the way back until we get into this front deck. Now you can see it kind of rolls up here. So what I'm thinking is once we get inside of here, we're gonna bring it up as far as we can. Then I'm gonna have to kick it over just a little bit. I don't wanna kick it up because then his rods are gonna sit rolled up, but he's gonna have about 5 inches on this side over that is gonna be 7'8", and then it's gonna slowly taper back to probably like 6'8". So he'll be able to put his longer rods up towards the center of the hull, and then the shorter ones he'll have to put on the outside. He's gonna have one on both sides. He's gonna have plenty of storage room for rods, and these rod lockers are gonna be 10 inches deep. So that's what I was saying about those pumps. This is only coming down 10 inches now. We've got another 10 inches easily down there, so I could put them up underneath there. He'd just have to open this hatch, and then we could have like a panel or something on this side that he can move and be able to get to it, or I don't know. It's something we got to think about. Now, originally, I was thinking about having like a hatch inside of the rod locker. He removed his rods, and then he could have a hatch in here. We could open up, access those pumps. Might still do that. That's one of those things that we're up in the air about. Like, I don't really know how we're going to do that, but we're going to figure that out. But all in all, I mean, it's looking sick, man. Coming together. We got a lot of stuff done for only working on this really for like a little bit less than 2 days, so I'm happy with it. Pretty sick build. It's gonna be so cool when it's done. right, check it out. This is the front deck frame. This thing is elite. It is all made out of 1/16 inch thick tubing. And we did add some little angles on here. This is gonna be pretty cool. This is gonna catch our rod lockers so we can install those in one piece. I just wanted to put this thing on the scale and show you guys how light it actually is. The frame itself is 78 inches square. And check this out. 31.5 pounds. That's crazy light considering that this thing is 78 inches square. Let's get back to work. All right, man, so we made some serious progress. This thing looks really good. This whole front deck framing is now installed permanently. Obviously, you saw Austin welding it. We welded it from both sides. And the way we did these rod lockers really turned out cool. You can see we got that angle in there. Well, we installed this back angle onto the back of this frame in like a 4-foot section. And we made that a 2x1. And the 1 is actually riveted up into the bottom of the deck framing. And that allowed us to have the variance in height to where we can get this rod locker staged up exactly where we want it. That rod locker going in there in one piece saves us a lot of time, because what normally will happen is, I have to make a piece that sleeves up inside of the front deck, and then from there I'll have to pick up with another piece and kind of taper it and everything. Well, this is definitely the way to do it, and the reason we were able to do it this way is because the boat is so deep. Turned out sick like that. We got them port and starboard exactly the same way. And then now we've got one support welded in here. And we did go ahead and weld it attached to the side of the hull. We're gonna come back, a couple more attachments in here for the deck framing, and we're gonna have a couple of verticals up. Let's hop in here and look at this real quick though. All right, so one of the things that we're kicking around the idea with is this live well. Now, we had to get this live well installed, at least to the stage it's at right now, before we put this big frame in here and made that permanent. So that's what we did. We got the live well made up, and you can see that our drain hole is off-centered. I still cross-paneled it, but it has to be off-centered, because if you look here, well, if we put it centered, it's going to hit into that V. And I don't want to put the live well drain right in the center of that V, because there's a good chance that's the lowest point in the middle of the boat. If he does run into something, well, he's going to hit it right on that middle. So we offset it to where it hits into the center of this big flat area right here. There's a lot less chance of that thing getting hit in there because it has protection from both of the side gunnels and the floor. And we basically have a hole through our live well pan. It is recessed in there with a dimple die. It's welded from both sides. And then there's a hole in the bottom of the boat, and this is sticking through that. Now, it's sticking through about 3 inches, which is fine, because right now this thing is just free floating. I did stick some foam on either side of it, and our bench needs to be pulled in and sucked in tight. So the way we're going to do this is, I drew it out for Austin. He's going to make this in the morning. We're getting ready to get out of here. We got one more day before we end up dropping this first episode. But on these sides right here, we're going to have a 3x1 tube on both sides, and then across the back and the face, it's going to be an 1.5 inch angle. And he's going to make that on the table, and then we're going to bring that in here and set it in, drop it in. We'll be able to rivet it through this back piece into our angle and through here into the angle. Then we'll be able to come off of that with some vertical supports in these corners, and then on our outside corners the same thing, and that will allow us to come back and cut these off right here and remove this piece. And that's going to expose our step, which is going to be right there over top of the live well. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a good sized step too. And it's exactly what he needs. I mean, he needs to have some room up there. But this whole frame right here ended up being 78 inches long and like 77 and some change widthwise. So it's almost square, right around 77 inches, 78. Humongous front deck. This whole framework in here, I put it on the scale, and it came in at only 31.5 pounds. For that humongous frame. Pretty dope. Tomorrow, we're going to get this piece in here, hopefully finish up this front deck, and then we're going to go ahead and start framing out for these back side pieces, getting all our hatch frames, measured so that we can have those get into fabrication, and then we'll start down in here with some internals. Let's get back to work.
Guys, check it out, man. This thing is looking sick, man. What a crazy cool project. We pretty much got all the framework finished up. Now we just gotta build all the hatches and do the sheeting, but you can get a feel for what this thing is gonna look like now. This whole back deck, it's like U-shaped around here. And then we have the step, and we have the big front deck. There's so much storage space inside of there. It's really crazy. So cool though. Both the rod lockers are installed. The way we did this front deck was a little different, and it really turned out great for us. We had the pieces turned down on the back of this tubing right here, and then that gave us a place to shoot our rivets. We attached this in one giant piece and slid it up inside there. Both port and starboard have the same exact rod locker storage. Lots of room in there for rods. And look, in the center section, we've got the live well. Right behind that is gonna be his big storage tackle area. I mean, this is 30 inches deep. So I'm gonna play around with the idea of putting like a drop-in bin inside of here so that he has storage underneath of it and inside of the bin, because 30 inches is just too deep for you to stack stuff up and be able to get the stuff on the bottom. So that's what we're thinking with that. And then this compartment right here is basically just gonna be for all batteries that are going into the rig. Now, this is a humongous, gigantic compartment right here. The drop-in hatch for this is going to be 36 by 30 inches. And down inside of there, it even gets bigger. It's actually 38 by like 34 or something. So it's huge, big storage. Lots of room for batteries. Doesn't have to worry about needing any extra battery storage if he upgrades his batteries at a later date. Back deck's pretty cut and dry. 2 hatches are going in here. We're gonna put a seat post base in the center and YOLOtech mount in there. And then this is just gonna be one hatch right here. And the way we did this with this overbent angle, makes it simple. We're basically just bringing this transom up and back square so we can drop a hatch in here. Now this hatch is gonna have a U-shaped cutout in it. Allow us to run the cables through here to hook up to his outboard motor and for the transducer to go up to the graph. Now this side over here is going to have a cup holder in it, and I might throw a little storage compartment at the top, I'm not sure, but this side is going to have a cup holder and a graph, and then a switch panel on the face right there.
I'm pumped though, man. This is a lot of work for anybody to get done in 4 days, but we did it. And this whole front up here, man, this is built like a tank. This thing is super heavy duty and it's elite. It's definitely a sick build. Super lightweight. The framework of the deck, that whole section up there, 31.5 pounds, man. Insane. We probably only got maybe 100 pounds of weight in the boat when we're all done with all the aluminum. It's pretty crazy that only 100 pounds of aluminum into an 18-foot boat, but I think it's possible. I'm really digging this build though. Project's gonna be sick. This whole front deck area right here, it comes back 78 inches, and you have another 40 inches up here. So you're well over 10, almost 11 feet up here. This thing is gigantic. Sick project. All right, guys, so it's a wrap for episode 1. Absolutely crushed this episode. I'm pumped. I mean, this thing has got all of the framework done in it. We still have some more metal work to do. We're gonna do some different stuff. I'm gonna show y'all something really cool that I've only done on a couple of these well builds with this top gunnel. Well, this one's gonna get the same type of treatment. It's gonna be sick. We're gonna start on that tomorrow. But I wanted to wrap this video up right here just so I can get this extra video out to you guys this week. And then next week, hopefully we'll be picking up with episode 2. Anyways, guys, I do appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. Hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment, and go check out Shane Flint Outdoors YouTube channel. I'll see y'all next time. Let's get back to work.